My top 15 predictions for the 2023 Italy Flex Weekend Pro, plus 1 day out updates. What's up, desktoppers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back for another contest preview. We're previewing the 2023 Italy Flex Weekend Pro being held this weekend. It's a stacked lineup, as you guys can see on the screen right now. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go my top 15. It's actually top 14 right now because there is one guy that's actually missing. But let's get straight into it. And in 15th place, I have Andrea Musi, whose guys placed top 5, I think even top 2 in pro contests before. But why do I have him in 15th place? Well, I think his conditioning by this latest video, which I believe is 1 day out, I think he's just a little bit off the mark and he doesn't look his best here to me personally. Could be wrong, but I have him in 15th. In 14th, I have Guosheng Yuan, who looks really damn good, but this lineup is stacked, so I have him placing down in 14th place. In 13th place now, those other two guys I believe will be one spot higher because I have Bruno Santos, who I believe he had a bowel infection or something along those lines, so he is missing this contest, which is unfortunate because I'm not sure if this is his pro debut actually as well, so I was really looking forward to seeing him, but he is out of this contest. And in 12th, I have Simone Bassanelli. This guy looks really, really good. I don't know if I've seen him on a pro stage before. This may be his pro debut here. You guys can let me know in the comments. Looks amazing. Honestly, if he looks like this on stage, I see him placing much higher than this, but this lineup is stacked, as I mentioned, and there's some more proven commodities ahead of him, but I can definitely see him jumping up into the top 10 if he brings the conditioning. And in 11th place, I have a guy who's actually competed in the 212 Olympia before, and that is Thomas Tabachier. Looks really, really damn good. Very impressive physique. I don't know if he'll have what it takes to place right up there, you know, size-wise, but I think he's a great competitor. Brings great conditioning traditionally. Now we get into the top 10, and in 10th, I have Make Silesa. This guy looks really damn good. I love his physique. He's got huge round quads. He's a taller bodybuilder. Competed earlier in the year against Mikel Krizo and looked pretty damn good in that lineup as well. Now, it wasn't the most stacked lineup, but he still looked really, really damn good. I believe that was his pro debut as well. I believe he placed in the top 5, and I think that he can push for a top 5 again, but I think this lineup is too stacked and he'll finish somewhere in that 6th to 10th place. In 9th, we have another guy making his pro debut in Dennis Reinhold. Looks really damn good. I believe he's coached by Dennis Wolf as well. He looks like a taller guy. He's got a lot of muscle. He's filled out a lot over the past 12 months. So I think he's going to come in looking really, really damn good. Very impressed by his updates. Will his legs be a little bit undersized in this lineup? Potentially, but I'm very intrigued to see how wide he is across the shoulders when he stands next to other guys. So that remains a bit of an unknown, but I'm very impressed. So that's why I've been placing in 9th in this one. And in 8th place, I have Jan Turek. Now, when I originally did my predictions, when I wrote these down before seeing these updates, which I'm showing you guys on the screen right now, I had Jan down in like 12th, 13th, somewhere around there. But he's been a guy that's actually placed pretty damn well in contests, although he has been a little bit undersized. I think that he's added size to his physique by these updates. He looks in his traditionally great condition as well. I think that Jan is going to surprise some people in this contest, and he can push for a top 5 in this one if the improvements translate to the stage. In 7th, I have Tim Budesheim, who looks like he's bringing some outrageous conditioning. I actually really like Tim's physique. I think that he's been overlooked in some contests in the past, but by these recent updates, I think he looks in really, really great condition. Where he falls down a little bit is from the back. I think he's not quite as wide. He doesn't have that same taper from the waist to the lats to the shoulders that some of these other guys have, but he brings great conditioning, brings a good level of density and muscularity, so I think Tim will do pretty well in this show. In 6th place, we have a guy who's already qualified for the 2023 Mr. Olympia, but he stays in awesome shape year round, and obviously he's prepping for that Olympia, which is 8 weeks out now, and that is Roman Fritz. Now, I could have predicted him higher in this one. I can definitely see him placing as high as sort of 4th, maybe 3rd, but Roman, I think, jumping in this last minute, I can't expect his very best, but He's a guy that's traditionally come in a little bit too flat, so he could potentially see the best Roman Fritz of all time. And by this update, 8.5 weeks out of Olympia, so half a week out of this contest, he's looking very damn impressive. In 5th place, we have Liang Yan, who's got a great physique. He actually won his pro card and competed last year. It was around this time as well, maybe a couple months later. Looked really, really damn good. And everyone's saying this guy should do 212, but apparently I think he turned pro at around 220 pounds. Could have pushed it down in conditioning a little bit more, so he could have been like a top of the 212 sort of guy at 5'5", but he's packing a ton of muscle, and I think he's well over that 212 right now. Now, these recent updates, he looks really damn good. Reminds me a lot of Carlos Thomas Jr., but I think he might need a little bit more conditioning, sort of like a Carlos Thomas Jr. as well. Would have loved to see these two guys stand side by side on stage together. Could he come in and shock the entire lineup? I think he needs a little bit more in the chest to win in a lineup like this, but a very impressive competitor, and I think that he can do very well and even place higher than 5th potentially in this contest. In 4th place, I have Theo Laguerriere. Love this guy's physique. Very aesthetic, got a good amount of thickness to his physique as well. He looks like he's bringing outrageous conditioning to this show as well. Big fan of Theo. I'm intrigued to see if he can sort of go head to head and maybe even battle it out with the Blessing Awodibu or any of these other guys, the top 3 that everyone's considering to be the top 3 in this lineup. Some people have predicted him as high as 3rd. I can see that happening, but there are a lot of guys right behind him too that could get him. So Theo's in sort of a vulnerable position, but he also is in a great position where he could place higher. So I'm very intrigued to see where Theo Laguerriere places in this lineup, but I've got him in 4th place. In 3rd, I have Blessing Awodibu. Now, Blessing, I think, is going to look dramatically better working with Cameron Cheek for this contest. You can see these updates. He looks so much better. The one thing that does sort of poke out a little bit in these updates is that left leg, how there's maybe potentially a bit of atrophy there as well, which I think could hurt Blessing. He traditionally poses it very, very well, so it's not that noticeable on stage too. So working with Cameron Cheek as well going forward, I'm wondering if they can actually correct that somewhat, and if they can, that will make a huge difference to Blessing Awodibu's physique, and I think that he can definitely climb the places. But when you just sort of block out the legs and look at that front double bicep, it is outrageous. His arms are looking cut out. They are huge. We saw him at last contest. He was out of condition, but you can still see, wow, his back's pretty damn crazy. He's got his other shots that look pretty crazy. And when he's just by himself, you don't get to appreciate how wide this guy actually is shoulder to shoulder. So I think Blessing can challenge these top 2 guys, but I think they'll be a little bit too good for Blessing in this one. And onto a man that he has a $5,000 bet with. In 2nd place, I have Regan Grimes. He's actually the favorite going into this show. I've seen polls put up on YouTube and Instagram, and people have Regan winning this one, and sort of Nathan D'Asha is the 2nd favorite. Now, Nathan D'Asha is a 9-time pro contest winner, but we'll get to him in just a moment. Now, I went back and forth on this one a little bit. 3 weeks out, I'm thinking, I might have to predict Regan to win this contest, but I'm seeing the way that Nathan is carving up, and he's looking really good. Regan is also carving up, also looking very good. Apparently, he is 20 pounds up on where he was 2 years ago, and he won a pro contest that year, and he did beat Nathan. So why am I predicting Nathan? I think we're going to see a different version of Nathan for starters. And Nathan also, at that contest where he's beaten by Regan Grimes, I remember seeing him. He never made this as an excuse, but I remember seeing him saying that at FIBO, which was the week prior, he had a week between contests, he went to FIBO, hardly ate for 3 days, which most bodybuilders just wouldn't do, and then do a contest for next week. Nathan did that. And I think that without people really noticing, he's maybe just a little bit downsized, maybe a little bit flatter at that contest. He still looked outrageous, still could have won it, but I think he could have been a little bit fuller at this one. He looks like he's filling out really, really nicely, and we'll sort of move into Nathan right now, and he's looking really good, working with the same coach as Urs Kalaczynski. It's a different approach for Nathan. He's traditionally gone out to Oxygen Gym, trained there for the last 8 weeks or whatever, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Nathan looks at this contest. It's the first time training at home for quite a while for a contest. So it's a true test for Nathan. It's a real unknown for Regan as well. So we don't know how these guys are going to convert to the stage. So it's going to be a very interesting contest, and I cannot wait to see who wins this one. I'm literally like 51% think Nathan will win, 49% Regan. And what I actually think will happen is Nathan D'Asha will win this contest on the weekend, because I think he'll just have like a certain level of dryness and gnarliness to the muscle that perhaps Regan doesn't have yet, but perhaps Regan has the superior roundness and shape to certain body parts and muscularity. But I think Nathan is going to be like bone dry and filled out and super, super impressive. And if we see one of Nathan's best physiques, he's a guy that's placed 7th in Mr. Olympia before. And some people are saying this is likely going to be Nathan's best. If it is Nathan's best, then essentially you say the Olympia lineup maybe is better now. Some people would say, Nathan would probably say it's better then. Just say 2 guys are placing higher. You're putting Regan in sort of 8th place in the Olympia if you're saying he's going to beat Nathan Asha at least. So that's a tall task. I'm not expecting that from Regan Grimes necessarily here, but I would love to see it. I love Regan. I love his physique. I love his shape. And really, it's the same way with Nathan Asha as well. So it's going to be a very interesting contest. I'm going live this weekend for the show as well. So make sure you tune in to Desktop Bodybuilding. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit the notification bell button so you don't miss out on that live and what's going down at the 2023 Flex Weekend Italy Pro. And that's it for this one, guys. For Xavier Wills, this is Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are out.